Greetings, brothers and sisters. Just a quick introduction to this video. I want to get into Jojo Magoo and a bunch of stuff to this toxic world we're now living in. I saw Erin Brockovich on Morning Joe this morning. I couldn't find that video, but there's another video of her and her talking about them gaslighting. And it occurred to me that, you know, this thing with the weather balloons and this, stuff to do with, the UFO stuff and the toxic fires and tragedies and stuff that's happening. And I got a bunch of things to, talk about here today. Like, I wonder how long this is going to last. And it shows you that there's no accountability anymore. I mean, we should all have seen this over and over again. But you'll see it now, where people get upset about something and something bad happens, but no one pays the price. They don't even, they used to do when I was a kid, when I was younger, they used to, there'd be some person who would be humiliated, or there'd be some person who would be the fall guy, or there would be a fine and some public shaming. Of course, now there's the Me Too movement and cancel culture. But in terms of the, things that they're just doing it wide out in the open. I covered this on my other channel. I'll show you the clip here.
27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees. Over $193 million was given to these 1,800 employees. Can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
Look at this girl back here giving Fauci the death stare.
I don't know as a fact, but I doubt it.
Because who would remember receiving millions of dollars from a pharmaceutical company?
Can you tell me if anybody on the vaccine approval committees ever received any money
from
from
people
who make the vaccines?
According to the regulations, people who receive royalties are not required to divulge them, even on their financial statement.
Sounds like a great rule. A federal agency that's just seized huge power and is supposed to oversee these vaccine companies can receive money and not tell you about it. I made a short of it, but there's a much longer video out there where, and I'm not a big Rand Paul fan, but he's asking legitimate questions here. And he says, there's been 1,800 people from the NIH who have received $193 million in payoffs. I mean, royalties from the pharmaceutical companies. And Fauci says, yeah, we don't have to report that. We don't have to tell you guys about that. Even though, we're going to make decisions about your life. We're going to make things mandatory. We're going to push things on you. We're going to shame you for not, taking the whatever it might be, right? It's just right out. The corruption's just right out in the open in a way that, and I'll talk about this again tomorrow on my other channel, that is just, they're not trying to even hide it anymore. It's like third world banana republic kind of corruption. And the corruption's always been there, but now they don't even bother to make it look like it's not going on. They just gaslight you. They just, pretend it isn't happening. This was what Erin Brockovich was saying on Morning Joe, which is a whole thing there. I'll discuss that when I get to that clip, because the hypocrisy there is off the charts as well. It's just a big mess, right? A little slap on the wrist doesn't even exist anymore. They just say, we're not even going to pretend like this is real. We're just going to ignore it and, keep on pushing the agenda. And that's when the system's collapsing. It also speaks to the truth community's inability to do anything. You can spread information. You can point things out. Even if you got everybody to see what you see, it still wouldn't change a thing because they don't even care. Like, they know that everyone's helplessly addicted to the system and people are weak and, they don't really have any fight in them, right? Especially, in the Western countries. I mean, I guess across the globe. And so they just don't care. They don't have to pretend that they're not an evil empire anymore or we're an evil empire. They're just like, oh, yeah, well, this is what we do now. And they don't, they don't even say that. They just, they just ignore everything and just keep on doing what they're doing. The other thing is I released my Journey 92, and the way it happened, YouTube will only recommend or notify people on one video per day, usually, maybe two occasionally. But if you produce more than one video a day, or if you produce videos daily, YouTube won't notify people. Also, I released the Hollywood Celebrities Dropping Like Flies at the same time because it took forever for them to check the video. For some reason, it took hours to upload the video. Then it took them a long time to check the video, right? YouTube runs these checks, and it took hours. And so I ended up making both videos public with a lot of I posted a lot of shorts yesterday, short videos. So I don't know if people were unaware of the Journey series video, but it's one of the most important ones. There's some Abhiasi, a practitioner of Saj Marg Heartfulness, sent me a message showing that Daji's pharmaceutical empire has gone bankrupt, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars, and you got to watch it, right? But it's a huge kind of a movement here, and I also have a suggestion of things I want to do, because I'm not connected to the Heartfulness organization anymore because of the corruption and the fall of the Daji and the whole thing there. And so this is a kind of important Journey series video. Like, some of them get a couple of thousand views. This one had like 1,000, and it's one of the more important ones. But anyways, let's get into Jojo Magoo here. So let's start here with Jojo Magoo in a silhouetted format. There's this legendary clip, and this wasn't as good as that clip in terms of the quality of the video. But Jojo Magoo falls up the stairs again. So there he goes. Okay, he's doing okay. He's going up Air Force One. This is when he's leaving Poland. Doing all right. Okay, good job, Jojo. You're almost there. Oh, boom. Touch the stairs, Jojo. So it isn't as bad as a fall when he did before, but now he's fallen up the stairs twice. Here is a meme that somebody's put together from The Atlantic. Biden just destroyed Putin's last hope. I don't know if I'm going to get to this because I'm going to cover the whole video, and there's something in there that somebody specifically wanted me to cover. But I guess he did a horrible speech there. But this is one of his gaffes.
Would we be weak? Would be you? Would we the all of our? Would we be weak? Would be you? Would we the all of our? Would we?
So Biden just destroyed Putin's last hope. This is an excellent meme somebody's put together. So let's go through this. There's multiple gaffes. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of them. I'm not going to watch the whole speech. But this is Jojo Magoo here.
Hello, Poland.
It's a rock concert.
One of our great allies, President Duda.
President Duda.
Prime Minister, Mr. Mayor, to all the former ministers and presidents, as well as mayors and Polish political leaders from all across the country. Thank you for welcoming back to Poland.
Welcoming you back to Poland?
It was nearly 1 year ago.
Woo!
Nearly 1 year ago, I spoke at the Royal Castle here in Warsaw, just weeks after Vladimir Putin had unleashed his murderous assault on Ukraine.
Boo, Putin.
The largest land war in Europe since World War II had begun. And the principles that have been the cornerstone of peace, prosperity, and stability on this planet for more than 75 years were at risk of being shattered.
Shattered.
1 year ago, the world was bracing for the fall of Kyiv.
And it didn't happen.
Well, I just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report Kyiv stands strong.
See, it's strong. Look at the fist. That's Fisty Joe. Fisty Jojo.
Kyiv stands proud.
Proud.
It stands tall.
Tall.
And most important, it stands free.
Free.
When Russia invaded, it wasn't just Ukraine being tested. The whole world faced a test for the ages. Europe was being tested. America was being tested. NATO was being tested. All democracies are being tested. And the questions we faced were as simple as they were profound. Would we respond? Or would we look the other way? Would we be strong? Or would we be weak? Would we, all of our allies, would be united?
What was that? Well, let's do that again here, buddy.
Would we be weak? Would we, all of our allies, would be united or divided?
See, like this is them saying, the Atlantic saying that he slammed Putin. He's just embarrassing himself, embarrassing all of you. Journalists, right? Everybody who won't say, hey, this guy's got dementia and he sucked before that. Like he was sucky and wasn't presidential before that. He was a horrible, politician, the worst kind of politician, a liar, a creepy, a creeper, a snoozler, all those things. A sniffer. He's all those things. And now he's senile, right? Like, so, like he wasn't great and now he's worse.
1 year later, we know the answer. We did respond. We would be strong. We would be united. And the world would not look the other way.
We would not look the other way. Woo.
We also face fundamental questions.
There's a red, pink light right here. Let me show you. I wonder what that's all about.
We also face fundamental questions.
The aliens are tracking them.
About the commitment to the most basic of principles. Would we stand up for the sovereignty of nations? Would we stand up for the right of people to live free from naked aggression?
Even when he's articulating things correctly, he still sucks. Like his speeches suck, his delivery isn't good, and he's better than Kamala, which is scary. Let's move forward here a little bit. I haven't watched this thing.
Something today that you didn't think was possible a year ago. The democracies of the world have grown stronger, not weaker. But the autocrats of the world have grown weaker, not stronger. Because in the moments of great upheaval and uncertainty, that knowing what you stand for is most important. And knowing.
See, he's also reading things without understanding what he's reading. And he's got his teleprompter, you can see is right here. And so he's reading, but you can tell he doesn't understand what he's reading. Let's just watch that again. Like he trails off, like, what does that mean? Like.
Because in the moments of great upheaval and uncertainty, that knowing what you stand for is most important. And knowing who stands with you makes all the difference. The people of Poland know that. You know that. In fact, you know it better than anyone here in Poland.
Yes, the people in Poland know it better than anybody else in Poland. What? Let's watch that again. So that's when he starts ad-libbing.
And knowing who stands with you makes all the difference. The people of Poland know that. You know that. In fact, you know it better than anyone here in Poland.
Okay. We don't know what that means, but you certainly got our attention.
Because that's what solidarity means. Through partition and oppression, when the beautiful city was destroyed after the Warsaw Uprising, during decades under the iron fist of communist rule.
He's like gone soft.
Poland endured because you stood together. That's how brave
he's got Shouty Joe and Mumbly Joe.
Leaders of the opposition and the people of Belarus continue to fight for their democracy.
Let's move forward here.
Seal Ukraine's future. Bomb train stations, maternity hospitals, schools, and orphanages. No one can turn away their eyes from the atrocities Russia is committing against the Ukrainian people. It's abhorrent.
It's abhorrent.
Abhorrent.
It's abhorrent.
But extraordinarily.
Somewhere in here, and I'm not going to, if I don't find it, don't find it. I'm just randomly selecting parts. But he says that Russia will never be able to declare victory. That's supposed to be the big moment.
The United States has assembled a worldwide coalition of more than 50 nations to get critical weapons and supplies to the brave Ukrainian fighters on the front lines. Air defense systems, artillery, ammunition, tanks, armored vehicles.
All at your expense, right? Your tax dollars at work.
The European Union and its member states have stepped up.
Are they paying us? Who's giving us the money for these things?
independence more than 30 years ago, who led the Orange Revolution and the Revolution of Dignity, who braved ice and fire in the Badan,
That red thing appeared again here.
who led the Orange Revolution and the Revolution of Dignity, who braved ice and fire in the Badan, and the Heavenly 100 who died there. And light. You embraced them. You literally embraced them. I watched.
Let's get towards the end
And
here.
every member of NATO knows it. And Russia knows it as well. An attack against one is attack against all.
Oh,
It's a sacred oath.
sacred oath. Woo.
Sacred oath to defend every inch of NATO territory. Over the past year, the United States has come together with our allies and partners in an extraordinary coalition to stand against Russian aggression.
Boom. Let's get to the end here.
Not in captivity, but in freedom. 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 There is no sweeter word than freedom.
Freedom. It's the sweetest word of all words. Freedom is the nectar of words.
There is no nobler goal than freedom. There's no higher aspiration than freedom.
Yeah, God and divinity, which is, there's no such thing as freedom. You know, there's freedom is a myth, right? Like hold your breath, you know, like you're dependent on oxygen. You're not free not to breathe. You're not free not to drink. You're not free not to eat, right? And then there's all the constrictions, human constrictions and laws and divine laws that are, you know, I mean, most people are breaking divine laws all the time in the modern world. There's no real freedom, right? There's a freedom to do wrong. But when you're a divine person, when you're a spiritual person, and you're working towards divinity, your choices are only one. It's the divine choice. There's one right choice in every circumstance, and it's the divine choice. And then there's infinite amount of wrong choices. And you don't have the freedom to make those. You do have the freedom to make those wrong choices, but it comes with consequences.
Americans know that, and you know it.
You know it more than anybody else in Poland.
And all that we do now must be done so our children and grandchildren will know it as well. Freedom.
Freedom.
The enemy of the tyrant and the hope of the brave and the truth of the ages. Freedom.
Freedom.
Stand with us. We will stand with you. Let us move forward with faith and conviction and with an abiding commitment to be allies,
Freedom.
not of darkness but of light, not of oppression but of liberation, not of captivity but, yes, of freedom.
Freedom.
May God bless you all. May God protect our troops. And may
Yeah, this what troops? NATO troops? Polish troops?
God bless the heroes of Ukraine and all those who defend freedom around the world.
They'll follow through the freedom around the world.
Thank you, Poland. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks, Poland. Thanks, Poland.
Autocrats only understand one word: no.
So this is the part I didn't find.
No, no.
Woo.
No, you will not take my country. No, you will not take my freedom. No, you will not take my future. And I'll repeat tonight what I said last year in this same place. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never be able to ease the people's love of liberty.
What?
Brutality will never grind down the will of the free. And Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia.
Boom. He didn't deliver. That was his key moment. There were so many headlines pushing this moment, and he failed. He didn't deliver. But he doesn't deliver.
Never.
Woo. Never, 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 woo. All right. That's your president. Get out of my way. Angry Alec Baldwin from the Baldwinitos barks at a press in New York City one day after New Mexico Rust prosecutor dropped key gun charge against him, slashing potential prison sentence. Bam. So this is great. Alec just keeps on looking more and more like a homeless dude, right? His hair's disheveled. He's, not shaving. I don't think he's keeping up with his hygiene. He's all like angry.
Hello, Mr. Baldwin.
You're in my way.
Sorry, sir.
Get out of my way.
Sorry.
Out of his way. No, it's the other car, Alec.
That was great. Let's watch that again.
Hello, Mr. Baldwin.
You're in my way.
Sorry, sir.
Get out of my way.
Sorry.
Out of his way. No, it's the other car, Alec.
The thing is, him going to the wrong car, which is hilarious, because that guy was in his way, because the guy wasn't standing in front of Alec's car. Alec had the wrong car. But it shows you his temper, and, you know, which isn't a great thing to show when you're, you know, your life is being destroyed by your shooting a coworker, right? Here's Alec Baldwin getting in bed with this this complete clown here. A real hero is one who does the right thing when the right thing isn't easy to do. Just like you, Alec. Like, it wasn't easy for you to shoot a coworker, but you did it. It wasn't easy for your wife to pretend she was Spanish when she wasn't. I mean, come on. You guys don't take the easy path at all. For decades, His Majesty King Charles has been mocked and ridiculed by the British tabloids for his views on farming, industrial agriculture, and climate change. It would have been much easier for him to simply cut ribbons, open hospitals, play a ceremonial role, keep his mouth shut, cheat on his wife, divorce her, and eventually murder her. Like, it would have been much easier for him to do those things. Yet he has endured a remarkable amount of personal criticism to use his inherited privilege on behalf of the greater good. He's such a wonderful person. But he has it so rough, this guy. I mean, this guy and his castles and his ribbon cutting. But time has proven his critique of unchecked greed to be right on the mark. Exactly. Nobody is a bigger fighter against unchecked greed than the monarchy. Alex is told Tool. And the world is finally starting to wake up. Yes, they are, Alec. Understanding the true meaning of his words, that whatever we do to nature is ultimately something we do to our deepest selves. Geez, it keeps on going on here. I had the honor of spending time with him at several occasions over the past decade, and in awe of his wisdom. Did you and Jimmy Savile get together with him when Jimmy Savile used to bring kids into the Royal Palace? You know, the Jimmy Savile, that creep. I'm in awe of his wisdom and compassion and dedication to be in service of others. Jimmy Savile is much worse than Jeffrey Epstein, there's a story about him again. His pioneering work of regeneration, all this stuff, right? You know, exactly, Alec. This guy just gets it. Breaking a massive fire on Brooklyn Lumber Storage Warehouse. I don't know if I covered this already. You know, a lot of fires of things that are releasing toxic fumes. Another fire here. His units have been dispatched over fire broke out at a manufacturing alloy plant in Fayetteville County, West Virginia. So either there's an uptick in these fires and train wrecks, or people are paying more attention to them, and neither one of those things is good. It either means that these things are going on all the time and no one knows about them, or they're getting worse, right? And so both those things are bad. So this guy, Jeffrey Sachs.
At a moment of extraordinary peril, the fact that the doomsday clock was moved 10 seconds closer to midnight is a mark of our peril, because that clock is managed by world experts who are sound judges of where we stand. And
we're getting closer to doomsday. Is that what you're saying?
We are at the brink of a disaster. The disaster is because our global politics is failing miserably.
But were you watching the inspirational Poland speech by the leader of the free world? Freedom.
First and foremost with the United States, which is a major provocateur of this war and a major threat to the peace, to be blunt. We need a different foreign policy in the
Kaboom.
United States. Of course, we need a different foreign policy in Russia and Ukraine and of the major powers. And this has to be a foreign policy to get us off this reckless war between Russia and NATO, which is
Boom.
escalating by the day.
By the day.
Because the doomsday clock moved 10 seconds closer to midnight at the same time that the United States and Germany agreed to send new, highly advanced tanks to Ukraine.
Okay, so you can find this. I don't know. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but you get the gist. So again, I'm not a Trump supporter. Trump, you know, he played his, I mean, he got played and he played his people, and the way he went out is, and the way he's acted now. But this thing here, man, these dudes right here.
We do know, of course, one of the biggest questions remaining.
This actress, jurist, this person who is a juror in Georgia, is all smiles.
For everyone that wasn't in that jury room with you, is how many people are in trouble here? What can you tell us about how many
Why are you smiling?
people you recommended as a group to face indictments?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
CNN, it's such an honor.
I'm hesitant to speak to something that the judge made a decision not to share. I don't know if everyone's aware of this, but there was a hearing about what parts of the report should and should not be published in its various forms, and the list, well, the sections that were removed were consciously chosen to be removed, and I don't want to say I have better judgment than the judge.
See?
That's totally understandable.
It's just this dude gets it.
Is it?
It's Brooke Baldwin. Brooke Baldwin replacement.
You say when it comes to there are indictments recommended, of course. Is it more than 12 people?
Look, she's so happy about the indictments.
Is it more than 20 people?
I think if you look at the page numbers of the report, there's about 6 pages in the middle that got cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list. More, I mean, when it comes to 75 witnesses, like, it's not, I assume, of course, it's not 75 people. Would you characterize it as 20-ish people?
I can't say I counted.
Okay. More than a dozen, though, I think I'd heard you say in another interview?
I believe so. That's probably a good assumption.
The name...
You know what happens when you assume?
That everyone wants to know about is former President Trump.
Of course.
Did you recommend
Boom.
Charges against Donald Trump?
I really don't want to share something that the judge made a conscious decision not to share.
So that's the big moment there, right? This is the heated exchange between Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Anthony Fauci on vaccines and royalties on C-SPAN, and there's a lot in there. I just showed you a brief clip of it. TikTok works its way into car consoles with Mercedes-Benz deal. TikTok is integrating itself into luxury car market even as the Chinese-owned video app company faces mounting criticism from the U.S. officials over national security concerns. While unveiling the next version of its E-Class sedan on Wednesday, Mercedes-Benz announced that the upcoming models will allow drivers to directly download third-party apps to the center display and even film themselves and participate in video meetings, though only when the car is parked. Passengers will also have a screen through which they can access mobile apps even if the car is in motion, but the German car manufacturer says that the screen will be shielded from the driver when the vehicle moves. Because they don't want you watching videos while you're driving. I mean, they're not animals. After the earthquake in Syria, this is translated from Italian, I believe, from Spanish. There has been I wish we had Hilaria Baldwin here to interpret this for us, but there's been a drop of water level in Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Lebanon. You know, she's from Boston, Spain. Cyprus and other countries, this is how it will be seen in the canals of Venice. And so there's water disappearing after the Turkey and Syria earthquake. So, you know, what's up with that? Fire contained a Tennessee uranium processing facility, nuclear safety officials say. A fire at the Y-12 National Complex uranium processing facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee has been contained. Thank God, that could have got out of hand. 5 people killed in a twin-engine plane crash in Arkansas are identified as environmental consultants who were en route to investigate deadly metal factory explosion in Bedford, Ohio. I will do a voiceover on this. 5 people were killed in a small plane that crashed after takeoff near Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Arkansas, where a group of environmental consultants had been hard at work for the toxicology issue going on in Ohio. So I got a whole thing to talk about that. You know, there's also a stripper named Dallas in Arkansas with a child from a crackhead whose father's the president. Spiritually hungry. This is her vampire look, right? There's the vampire. It's the cheekbones and the teeth and the cold, dead eyes that makes her possibly the ghoul of the year. Why is my sister named Brooklyn? Because that's where I met your mother. Thanks, Dad. No problem, rehab. I saw this on Facebook. So I was looking for the Morning Joe interview with Erin Brockovich, and she's on another show, which I'll show you that if I can't find that. Maybe I'll show you a little bit of both. But this girl's making the rounds.
So nothing that would surprise people who have been following this.
She's just all smiles.
Probably not. I wouldn't want to characterize anyone else's reaction, of course, but so that was something we heard a lot in testimony.
She's just so happy. She's just so gleefully happy that Donald Trump is going to finally get his. So I saw Morning Joe this morning when I was eating breakfast. I was going through the channels, and Erin Brockovich was on. And she started talking about gaslighting and other things. And Mika was nodding her head, which, you know, like Mika's agreeing with her. Well, let's just see what she says here. See if she says the same thing.
You know, Erin, you know far more about this than I do, but I keep thinking about the EPA after 9/11 on the pile and telling all those firemen and police and first responders, oh, the air is fine, there's nothing going on here. And then they all start dying of cancer over 20 years.
Yeah, thyroid cancer, which is, which is thyroid cancer usually comes from radioactivity, right? From radioactive iodine. And so that's interesting. Maybe you could talk about that sometime. You know, she's really ghouling here.
We finally passed some legislation. So, I mean, what are these people supposed to do?
They're going to need to trust themselves and their instincts, their own eyes and ears. They know what they've experienced. They know what they continue to smell, what they continue to see, the health symptoms that they continue to have. And they need to act on that and not wait for any well-intended or misleading or otherwise statement from the U.S. EPA or Norfolk. And that's one thing that I've seen in every one of these communities that is critical. They don't need to be gaslit, if you will, and they walk away very uncertain. And I need them to stay together as a community and pay attention and document and journal what's happening to them. Because, Andrea, there's not going to be an immediate overnight solution to this disaster. And
Okay, so this is similar to what she said that Mika was agreeing with, and this Andrea Mitchell is obviously agreeing with as well. And what's interesting about this, well, she said, you know, that they were gaslighting and misleading, is that the government could step in any time and force these companies to tell the truth. And the government could come in and get to the bottom of this, which they're not doing. And they're so pro-Joe Biden and the Democrats are supposed to be the party of the environmentalists. And Alec Baldwin could be calling them out as well, right? Because there's, you know, always deception when something like this happens. Unless you know, they're purposely trying to keep you away from someplace, and then you'll say, oh, there's a toxic breakout, like they did in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? But most times they're trying to minimize it, and then they'll pay out whatever, you know, monies that they can extract from these corporations, which is far less than the damage that they do and the pain and suffering that they cause. And so this is, you know, something Jojo Magoo, I mean, these shills, MSNBC and, you know, CNN and Alec Baldwin, all these other people who are, you know, totally pro-Biden, and then something like this happens and they're like, well, Biden's a liar. That's what they're saying, because this is about the government, the media, and everybody covering this up, right? But Aaron Brockovich in the movie, I don't know if this actually happened in real life, but Julia Roberts flashed some cleavage as Aaron Brockovich to get some guy to give her info, right? Which is a form of gaslighting, Aaron, right? If you did that in real life. But this is, you know, where we are with the whole thing. Why China's Ukraine Balancing Act might be tilting in Putin's favor. China and Russia are meeting together here. And at some point, they're going to come together and World War III or IV is going to commence. Just saying. Japanese officials investigating mysterious sphere that washed up on beach. Japanese officials sealed off a beach Tuesday morning to investigate a large, mysterious metal sphere of unknown origin. There it is. Where the hell did this thing come from? What's up with those metal spheres? I'm sorry, Don Lemons returns to CNN after online apology for sexist comments. Tough times for Dom. There's some, it says here, CNN staff divided over loyalties to execs as Don Lemon drama lingers. There's the video here. Apparently, Poppy Harlow and Don Lemons are very standoffish with each other. Poppy Harlow, Don Lemon has underlying tension during his CNN return. Poppy's just not, she's over Don Lemons. Chris Light anger CNN staffers with potential Charles Barkley hire. CNN's new CEO, Chris Leitch, is looking for a slam dunk, and he hopes to find it in Charles Barkley, we hear. Charles Barkley is a real dopey shill. But network insiders think it makes the new boss seem like a basket case. Licht, who developed something of a wonderkin reputation in the industry after he helped Stephen Colbert beat late-night rival Jimmy Fallon at his last gig, so that's why they hired him at CNN, took over at CNN in May of 2022 after former boss Jeff Zucker was sunk by a sexual scandal. But ratings at the network, which is in the midst of another scandal after anchor Don Lemon suggested White House hopeful Nikki Haley is past her prime, have been in a downward spiral. And Page Six has confirmed that the execs have been in talks with NBA legend and longtime broadcaster about appearing on the news channel and hope he can help the numbers rebound. Charles Barkley, who was once called the round mound of rebound himself, so that's the thing there. You know, he works for CNN because he works for Turner, which is CNN, you know, Ted Turner. So there's that. Will Smith just posted a TikTok to remind the world that he won an Oscar moments after slapping Chris Rock, and the comments are wild.
This is literally, it sounds insane.
I bet it sounds insane because it is insane. What is it, TikTok lady?
But it will change your life.
Change your life.
By change your life, I mean it will make your life so much more interesting and fun.
Exactly.
Did you know that you can pick any object, look at it, and ask it what it thinks of you?
But what if the object's a real dick?
So, for example, you can pick up a pen and ask it how it sees you or what it thinks of you, and you will get an answer in your mind.
And that pen is going to be like, I mean, just that pen's going to be really wise, because pens, we all know, have very high IQs, and they have a real ability to assess the character qualities of other people, of people.
From your intuition. You can ask your car what it thinks of you. You can even ask money what it thinks of you.
Kaboom! I bet the Oscars saying that Will Smith is gay, right? Because so many other people at Hollywood have said that, and there's been rumors. So I bet the Oscars picked up on those rumors. I don't know. That's what I think the Oscars saying to him. We're afraid to shower. Fear and anxiety We're afraid to shower. Fear and anxiety linger in Ohio town, reeling from toxic train derailment. Pete Buttigieg lashes out at reporter asking about toxic Ohio train derailment. Pete, what happened, Pete?
In Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now.
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, be sure to reach out to our press office, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Just walking down the street.
You don't have a message for them?
I do, and I shared it with the press many times today. I'd refer you to those comments.
Would you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press because right now I'm taking some personal time and I'm walking down the street.
He's got to take some personal time, you know. He's dealing with a lot of stress with all the toxic stuff that's going on, you know, transportation-wise.
Going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Yeah, I am.
When are you going?
I'll share that when I'm ready.
Okay,
thank you. Can I get a photo of you?
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't call that lashing out. Pete Buttigieg was a lot calmer than Alec Baldwin. But taking the photo is, you know, like, he has every right to because she's filming him without permission. Which, again, I don't like these kind of impromptu things or whatever it is, right? Because they don't lead to anything. It is whatever it is. But, you know, taking her photo is with somebody with governmental power and an insider, and someone helped to rig the primary against Bernie Sanders, and he's got this position that Jojo Magoo gave him, all these things. You know, it's kind of a big deal. Taking their photo, it's like, you know, a way to intimidate you. Madonna twerks in shredded jeans after poking fun at swollen face surgery. Here she is on TikTok doing this thing here. Coming in strong with a lot of attitude.
Pretty girls walk like this.
So everyone was freaked out about her face, right? And her reaction is, oh, I'm a pretty girl. There she goes. Go ahead, Madonna. She just won't admit that she's old. Liam Neeson said Joy Behar's crush on him made him feel uncomfortable on The View. I just wasn't impressed, the Marlowe star told Rolling Stone about his embarrassing appearance on the show last week.
No egos at stake.
No.
Seriously.
Yeah, I believe you.
And it's, you know, this is the scene, this is what we have to
Whatever
do.
you say, I believe you.
She will believe anything that you say because it's no secret that Joy thinks you're the hottest and the greatest ever.
Woo! Run, bro.
In case there was any doubt, we have a few times she's brought you up over the years. I think we have some video.
Have you seen this?
I would just like to have my ashes sprinkled over Liam Neeson.
She just got it.
There's room in my heart for Steve and for Liam Neeson, let's say.
Steve must be her husband. I'd leave Steve for Liam Neeson in a second. Even though he's tolerated my ghoulish bad jokes and everything else for so many years, Liam Neeson could just sweep me off my feet.
I mean, Liam Neeson right now, those kidnapping movies that he does get me so aroused. I can't even begin to tell you.
Wow. Look at him. He's sitting how uncomfortable he is. Look at how uncomfortable he is.
Ashes over Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson.
You'd already made that joke.
Liam Neeson. 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 Okay, I said it.
He said it. Look at how uncomfortable he is. Who wouldn't want this fine specimen of a woman to...
Am I blushing? Not joking. Am I blushing? She just asked, am I blushing? Is he blushing?
All right, you know, the apocalypse is upon us. Death of shot Clinton aide with Epstein ties found tied to a tree ruled suicide despite no gun on scene. The mysterious death of an aide to President Bill Clinton with ties to Jeffrey Epstein have been officially ruled a suicide despite there being no sign of a weapon near the body. Mark Middleton, 59, who served in the Clinton White House in the 90s, was found dead on Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas. Another Arkansas death, right? Almost 1 year after Middleton's death, a police report obtained by the outlet this week revealed that the Little Rock businessman was discovered with a gunshot wound to the chest and an extension cord tied to his neck, tying his neck to a tree, and could see the male was obviously deceased. So, you know, that's not how you do it. Suicide, right? I mean, of course it is. Like, you tie yourself to a tree with an extension cord, shoot yourself in the chest, and then throw the gun a mile away so no one can find it. Way to go, Clintons. Israel launches airstrikes in Gaza after deadly West Bank raid sparked rocket fire. Well, that's fair because, you know, this Palestine, the other Palestine, doesn't have an army. This is totally fair because, you know, to go ahead and bomb an army-less country is, you know, is the exact... To bomb an army-less country should be celebrated because that's exactly what you should do as a member of the Geneva Convention. Nikki Haley defends Confederate flag in unearthed video.
Investigation into Nikki Haley. The South Carolina Republican garnered national attention. You probably remember back in 2015 when she called to remove the Confederate flag from the State House grounds after a white nationalist killed 9 people at a black church in Charleston. But in 2010, Haley,
in 2010, before that,
who was running for governor at the time, said the Confederate flag was not racist.
For those groups that come in and say they have issues with the Confederate flag, I will work to talk to them about it. I will work and talk to them about the heritage and how this is not.
So she reversed her position. You guys, you know, you've ignored Hunter Biden. You know, I'm not a Nikki Haley fan. I don't care about this. But you've ignored Hunter Biden and, you know, all the, I mean, you got a president who's senile and you're going back 10 years, or in this case, 13 years, to an old video, and then she reversed her position, which politicians do, right? Like their primary isn't even started off. She's running for president. And she's been called an old hag by Don Lemons and a liar by this dude.
Something that is racist. This is something that is a
She has zero chance of winning the nomination against Trump and DeSantis.
Tradition that people feel proud of.
That interview you see there was by a local activist group called the Palmetto Patriots. At one point, candidate Haley said this about South Carolina's Confederate Heritage Month.
The same as you have Black History Month and you have Confederate History Month and all of those, as long as it's done where it is in a positive way and not in a negative way, and it doesn't go to harm anyone, and it goes back to where it focuses on the tradition. All
right, so they're trying to take her out in some way. But she has almost zero chance of winning. Maybe she might be a vice presidential candidate for DeSantis, not for Trump, because she's criticized Trump, and Trump ain't having any of that. Hunter Biden's latest rebrand is just smoke and errors. Welcome to the latest Hunter reboot called Dark Biden Rises. Hunter has been a reclamation project for the media and the Biden team, despite ample evidence that he and his family have been engaged in one of the largest influence peddling operations in history. The media struggle to find a redeeming image for someone who has committed his life to toxic mix of nepotism, narcissism, and narcotics. That is a paragraph and a half. Who wrote this thing? I mean, that is a Jonathan Turley. So this is a well-written article here. Kid Chameleon. They get into this whole thing, right? This guy. They're trying to rebrand Hunter. Khloe Kardashian sued by former household assistant over unpaid wages. Tell me it isn't so. The big one is stiffing one of her employees. Giselle Bündchen, unrecognizable on post-divorce cover. Look at this image here. They're saying it's there. You know, that's kind of creepy. Giselle Bündchen, unrecognizable on first cover since Tom Brady divorce. Again, here's another image of it. And it's just overly creepy, of course, with the red. And I saw this, it wasn't from People, it was from like New York Post. But there was a thing where Tom Brady was celebrating. He gave a sort of a cryptic, you know, love isn't supposed to be a negotiation on Valentine's Day. And she posted this on, I guess, her Instagram page with her dogs, right? And who's photographing this? Like, this was her showing that her Valentines were her dogs. But, like, this is like another example of something that's really posed. This is her Instagram thing here, which has been taken down for some reason, right? She has this, you know, these photos here. She has a few other photos with her and her dogs, and they're like completely staged. Like I talk about this with Alec Baldwin and Hilaria and pretty much everyone on Instagram. When they, you know, why is she laughing, right? When there's a photographer there, like it's just all fake. You know, this is supposed to be like an organic moment with her dogs, but she's just posing, and it's just, you know, like this is how fake everything has become. And it's a constant on social media. So I want to wrap this up relatively quickly here. This is a long video, but this thing that happened in the Clinton airport in Arkansas where 5 experts in toxicology went down. And so many of you probably don't know this, but there were a lot of natural health care people, like doctors, homeopathic doctors, and chiropractors, and Chinese medicine, all these type of people who do alternative medicine from the mainstream medicine. And then some of them, you know, naturopaths, and then some, you know, regular medical doctors who were, you know, open to non-traditional means of medicine, right? They weren't just all about allopathic medicine. And they started to die, like lots of them. They were dropping like flies. I mean, it was happening a lot. And some of you guys remember it, some of you weren't aware of it, but it was, you know, a big problem. And so when I got COVID, I got really weak and sick. You know, after I had COVID, I had prolonged like effects on my body. And I found this, or my wife found this sort of holistic chiropractor, and he's an older guy. And me and him had a good conversation because he is a kind of a truther. And this was before the vax came out or before any of these things. And I had a few talks with him afterwards, right? And I asked him if he knew anything about these doctors, you know, that all were dying. And he said, well, he knew several of them personally. And, you know, they were people who had influence on social media, many of them. And they had raised a certain amount of money, and they had come up with money themselves, and they hired a legal team. This is what he told me. I have no way of saying this is true or not, but this is what he said to me. They hired a crack legal team, like a prestigious law firm in D.C., and they were collectively suing the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, over vaccines. Vaccine, you know, inefficiency. And I mean, before COVID, this is, you know, before all these COVID vaccines, before they were, you know, even talking about, you know, this was the summer of 2020 or whatever it was, right? So this was before the vaccine thing was, this was when the lockdown was happening and all the other stuff, right? It was in the middle of the COVID, you know, the initial wave of COVID. This chiropractor said to me they want him to join in with this group of, you know, alternative healthcare professionals. And he said, no way, they'll kill you, right? I mean, he told this to these people. He said, why are you guys doing this? They're going to kill you. And they go, no, we got this great law firm. We're doing this legitimacy. We got, you know. And the guy said that, you know, they just killed all these doctors and they threatened the law firm who dropped the suit. And that was it, right? It was over with. And then all these people who were, you know, could have been useful during the pandemic and all the rest of it were now gone. It was like hundreds of people. And so, and the rest were, you know, kind of intimidated, right? going into the whole thing with COVID. Now, again, I have no way to verify if that's true or not, but if you look at that being a possibility, and now there's 5 toxicology experts who are flying out of the Clinton airport in Arkansas, and they went down, right? And so you'll have all these experts on toxicology, and then we have a toxicity problem. You know, sounds about right. You know, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.